Hello and welcome to Watch Releases recap for the week of May 17th until May the 24th. Let's begin with Oris and their new Aquis Date 41 with watermelon dials. Oris Aquis is sort of known as a fun diver. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and you can see from time to time some funky colors being released on this model. This year, 2024, we see a couple of new, one red, one green dial colors that they're calling watermelon themed. And at a first glance, it just seems like the new dial colors is what's new with this model, but that's actually not entirely accurate. If you take a look at the bezels, you can see that the bezel's font is color matched to the dial color, which looks really cool. However, on the other hand, the date at the 6 o'clock position, the background of the date wheel is not color matched to the color of the dial like it is on other Aquis models. So in other words, Oris giveth and Oris taketh away. Besides these pops of colors on the bezel, this watch also features a new, slightly redesigned case. At the first glance, it's kind of difficult to tell the changes, but apparently the design of the case is more streamlined. It is also a slightly thinner case. The previous version was about 13.3 millimeters in case height. This new version is about 12.9 millimeters, so almost half a millimeter thinner, which is a welcomed addition, even though the watch still features 300 meters of water resistance. And in terms of the case diameter, as the name would suggest, it's 41.5 millimeters. Now, as we all know, Oris has sort of two different movements. They have their Sellita-based movement, the caliber 733, but it's essentially a Sellita SW200. They also have their own in-house movement with crazy power reserve. But for some reason, not all watches come available with both movement options. Like for instance, these new models are only available with the Sellita movement. It is a solid movement beating at 28,800 vibrations per hour. It has 26 joules and 38 hours of power reserve. But the advantage of the Sellita-based movement is the fact that the watch is more affordable. These ones are 2,400 Swiss francs, which is about what, 2,600 US dollars. I think a very reasonable price for a fun diver like this. The new Tag Heuer Monaco Skeleton Chronograph. I'm filming this video on Friday, but of course these videos are always released on Sunday. And this Sunday, as you're watching this video, a Monaco Grand Prix is probably taking place. And Tag Heuer is a legendary partner of F1 and of motor racing in general. They have this model called the Monaco, and for a Monaco Grand Prix, there is a special edition now available. They actually released a skeletonized version of the Monaco last year for the Monaco Grand Prix. This year, it's essentially the same watch with a different color combination, and I actually think that this year's looks better than last year's. It still comes in that familiar square case, 39 millimeters height, 39 millimeters lug-to-lug distance. It's about 15.2 millimeters in case height. Yeah, it's a bit on the thicker side because it is an automatic chronograph. The material is titanium that's DLC coated, so at least the watches are on a lighter side. And coming back to the movement, these ones are powered by the Heuer Caliber 02, which is a fantastic in-house automatic chronograph movement. It has 33 joules, it beats at 28,800 vibrations per hour, and it has 80 hours of power reserve. Now, of course, these are skeletonized versions of this movement. You don't really see too much of the movement exposed, but what you do see, I think, looks pretty attractive. I also like the color combination of pops of yellow with that dark blue and black. All of that works for me personally, and I think the price is okay. I mean, it's not an affordable watch, and these skeletonized Tag Heuers were never meant to be affordable. This one is 11,250 US dollars, and it is part of the permanent collection, so it's not a limited edition. The new Panerai Luminor Dieci Giorni GMT, reference PAM 01482. Dieci Giorni means 10 days in Italian. I'm sorry I'm butchering it, but it is fun to say. And of course, Panerai, being very proud of their Italian heritage, they named this watch in Italian 10 days because this watch has 10 days of power reserve. It also has a GMT complication, AM/PM indicator, a date complication, and the sub-seconds at the 9 o'clock position. At the first glance, it's a pretty complicated dial, but I actually think the execution of the dial and the execution of this watch overall is really well done. With this number of complications, this watch could have looked very busy, but I think Panerai does a really good job of balancing the dial design, and I especially appreciate how the power reserve is integrated into the dial by the 6 o'clock position. As far as the dimensions of the watch, it is Panerai, so it is going to be larger. The case is made out of stainless steel. It's about 44 millimeters in case diameter. It doesn't say its thickness, but it's probably around 14.5, 15 millimeters in case height. It comes with 100 meters of water resistance. As I mentioned, it's powered by the Panerai in-house P.2003 automatic movement. It's a high frequency movement beating at 28,800 vibrations per hour. It has 240 hours of power reserve, in other words, 10 days. And it comes with 25 joules. And this watch is priced at 13,200 euros, which is about the same in US dollars. It's a bit on the expensive side, but I don't think that extreme. I think it's somewhat reasonable for a watch as complicated as this. The new JLC Polaris Geographic. In 2018, about 6 years ago, JLC introduced this Polaris Geographic model. It was a limited edition to 250 pieces and they only sold them at boutiques. Now, fast forward to 2024, this model is added to the standard catalog. It's not exactly the same, but it is similar enough. The watch comes in a stainless steel case. It is on a larger side, 42 millimeters in case diameter, although it is quite thin, only 14.5 millimeters in case height. There are two crowns, one at the 3 o'clock position and one at the 10 o'clock position. The 10 o'clock position crown operates that inner rotating diver style bezel. Besides the bezel, this watch also comes with quite a few other complications. First of all, it has a power reserve indicator close to that 9 o'clock position. There's also the AM and PM indicator, in other words, a 24-hour indicator. That's sort of between 8 and 7 o'clock position. Then there is the GMT function that's sub-dialed by the 6 o'clock position. Also by the 6 o'clock position, there's this orange triangle which points to the city, and of course you see that cutout where the cities are featured. There's actually 24 cities in total, but you can only see about 6 or 7 at a time. And that aperture for the cities is actually my biggest problem with this watch. Actually, it's the second biggest problem with the watch. The biggest problem with the watch is just how busy it looks. I think it's just too much, at least for me. I mean, design is subjective, but I think what they have done with this watch is just overwhelming. Even comparing to something like the Panerai that we just talked about, this one just looks a little bit too busy, which to me at least cheapens the look. But coming back to the cutout for the cities, what is my problem with it? Well, you can see that this watch has that inner rotating diver style bezel, which means that timing anything between 22 minutes and about 38 minutes is useless because all of that is cut out. So clearly a watch like this is more of a fashion over function, which I don't really appreciate, especially from these sort of high-end, high horology companies like JLC. But hey, maybe I'm in a minority here because so far this watch is getting pretty good reviews. As far as the movement goes, these ones are powered by an in-house JLC caliber 939. It's an automatic movement beating at 28,800 vibrations per hour, and it has 70 hours of power reserve. And as far as the price and availability, these ones are not limited edition. They're part of the standard catalog, and they're priced at 17,400 euros. It's about the same in US dollars. Ulysse Nardin Diver Nat Ops and Diver X Skeleton Ops. Ulysse Nardin is an interesting watch company. They have a unique watch catalog, let's just call it that. It's not for everyone, and I think a watch like this is actually for no one. So the whole sort of marketing idea behind these watches is the fact that they're made out of a lot of recycled materials. You have some recycled carbon, some recycled stainless steel, recycled fishnets for the straps, etc., etc. We've seen many other companies do it as well. I think the only thing that's eco-friendly about this watch is the fact that they're not going to make very many of them, because I'm guessing they're not going to sell very many of them. There are two different versions. There is the Diver Nat Ops. That one comes with 300 meters of water resistance. It comes in a pretty large 44 millimeter case. It has that carbon rotating diver style bezel. It comes powered by the caliber UN 118 manufactured caliber movement. It's a high beat movement beating at 28,800 vibrations per hour, and it has 60 hours of power reserve. It also has this sort of camo color scheme. It comes on the rubber strap, and it's priced at about $13,500 US, which is quite a bit for a watch like this. And to be honest with you, I don't hate it, but I don't like it either. It's just kind of there. I don't know. It doesn't really look like anything special. The other one, the Axe Skeleton Ops, well, this one is trying to be something special, but once again, I don't think it is. The very first most obvious thing is this dial is trying to have that sort of skeletonized look, but it is blocked by the big axe on the dial. So even though the dial is skeletonized, you can't actually really see much of the movement, which is sort of pointless. Why would you have a skeletonized dial where you can't see the movement? Secondly, it is quite a bit more expensive. This watch is almost $28,000 and it's powered by the UN caliber 372, which is not a high frequency movement, beating at 21,600 vibrations per hour and having 72 hours of power reserve. This watch also comes in a larger case, 44 millimeters by almost 16 millimeters in case height. So you do have to have pretty large wrists to wear a watch like this. Either one of these watches, I just can't help to ask, who are they for? Who is asking for a watch like this? That's it for this week's releases. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what stood out to you personally. Also give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the YouTube channel for more videos like this in the future. Thanks for watching and we'll see you next time. Bye.